Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business. Welcome to Breaking Solo, how solopreneurs break barriers, build brands, and embrace the future of business.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Solo. I'm really excited today. My guest is Alberta McKinney. Alberta, thank you for being with me.
You are so welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So, Alberta, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Alberta McKinney. I am Entrepreneurs by Design, and just as it says, we design for each and every business owner that we work with. And I'm a biblical business coach. And basically, what that means is we work with the principles of the word so that those individuals who are in ministry and they want to uh, continue with it, the values in their business. They learn how to take those principles, the value, walking in faith. And I think we all need that in the everyday walk of life, just believing that, we're going to make it. And that's what the biblical business coach does. Now, I kind of transition into biblical business coach. Now, I trained in ministry all the time because I am a minister and I do train in ministry. And I decided, well, why I have separate clients, why not just bring that all in and do the biblical business coaching? And that's how that was birthed out.
Nice. I like that. Okay, so tell me what inspired you to go into solo business.
Solo business, what inspired me? Interesting. I was a clerk at the post office. And when you start working at the post office, and I'd even been they call them a 204B. Those are supervisors, part-time supervisor kind of thing. And I was just doing my thing. And someone came and said, Alberta, why don't you look at doing insurance and investments? I said, really? Let me take a look. And when I finally took a look at it, I was like, you mean you got to be kidding me? They paying you this much money and all we're doing is just putting some information? And that drew me in. And I started to do that, and I realized it was more in me. Because you discover yourself as life goes on, you discover and you evolve into someone you never knew you could be. And that's what started it. From there, I just took the reins and I ran with it and enjoyed it.
That's awesome. So how did you transition then from insurance and investing into your biblical business coaching?
Well, that transition just did not take place. You want to know, let's walk you through this. I was doing insurance and investment and doing quite well, enjoyed it. We had contracts with my Miami-Dade County school system, Jackson Memorial Hospital. Everything was set and going. And a friend of mine said, Alberta, you like making money. Why don't you do mortgages? I can put that in here too. So, of course, I went ahead, got the mortgage broker license, and I said, wait a minute, you make more money with this than insurance and investment. So I really got into that. And I had the opportunity to really, I was working with investors, real estate investors, and I enjoyed it. So I asked one of them, I said, train me how to be an investor. And then I found out you made more money as an investor than a mortgage broker. So it evolved. And as I became, one of the things I liked about insurance and real estate, the knowledge that you can get is endless, as well as the opportunities. So I was not a realtor. I do have a real estate license, but I was never a residential realtor. I only wanted the license to have access to the real estate tools. It evolved and I kept learning. And when I got the license, I just got it. So I'm up to 3 o'clock in the morning. I can see what's happening on the market. But I learned they had so many opportunities. You could learn and grow and grow and grow. And I started doing that. And I would take classes, I would grow, and I kept evolving in this real estate and the investment. And I loved it. The number one thing was owning my own time.
Yeah.
See, when you can own your own time, and you are making the money you want to make at the same time, you can make all your money on Monday and don't come back the next Monday. It just depends on what you want to do. And I enjoyed that, owning my own time and making the income that I wanted to make. And that's how I got into the real estate. And I was there a while. And what really transitioned me to come into the business training coaching market was the 2008 collapse.
Oh,
um, I was doing quite well. I was training other investors. Just great real estate deals. I used to tell people so much money out there, it was jumping on your back. You couldn't even make it all. Things were popping. Well, '08 popped also. And when that happened, I was on the verge of closing a very large deal. I was going to walk away with 375,000. I was walking away from the table with that. Well, what happened? It didn't happen. The collapse happened. And when that happened, the lights went off in the financial market. It didn't matter if you was insurance, investment, real estate, stocks, bonds, did not matter. The lights went off in Wall Street. So at that point, it took a long time because you had a lot of people couldn't figure out where we were, what we were doing. And it just got to a point where you realize, because it took a long time. I don't think things are really where they were back then, but it took a while. And I was out there for about a year. I would tell people, I don't care how much money you make, how much money you have. At some point, if it ain't in the millions and billions, at some point you say, well, I need to go make another dollar because these dollars are running out. So, what I did was, because see, I'm a stickler for learning. Because if you really want to be truly successful in any industry, you have to know how that industry works, how it evolves, and where you're going to take it, where you're going to be in that industry. So I sat back for a few years and I watched the industry and I watched things come, watch them. And then between, I'm doing little things here and there. But I watched what was going on. And when the pandemic hit, uh, that was really interesting when the pandemic came along because all of a sudden another red line stopped. So I watched how people were literally in a frenzy. They were running around. It was so the online business market was just going and going. So I watched it. So now I got to learn I was always coaching. I was doing ministry, training and learning and teaching in real estate and all of that. But now here this market is. And I kind of watched the people and I watched everything that was going on. And I started learning some things. Before AI came into place, I had already taken an AI class because I'm just curious. What is this AI? And I went through IBM, got the AI certification, and they teaching you everything about AI. Really, I just want to know how I can make some money. Well, you got to know everything. And from there, I gradually came because I still had ministry clients. I still had people were coming, and I were teaching them doing private ministry. And and then I said, okay, well, let me get more into this marketplace. And I'm the one that watches it, kind of see what's going on, see the trends of the market, what's the ins, what's the out, who's making money is actually doing, and what I need to do to come up to that level because everything is up the steps. Got to take those steps up. And then all of a sudden, I'm here, I'm in the coaching market, and I say, wow, this is interesting. But I still loved it because I love teaching.
right.
So I love that. But that's how I arrived at being in the coaching business, mentoring coaching, and then biblical coaching just birthed right into that because it was always a part of what I was doing. Hmm.
That's incredible. So I was managing a real estate office in 2008. I left because it just wasn't fun anymore.
Then that's it. It wasn't it fun? And then all of a sudden our laughter was gone.
Exactly.
You said it
Those
right there. It
off
was no
years.
longer fun. No
Yeah.
longer fun, but I enjoyed it.
Yep. Used to be a good time. So tell me, what strategy do you use to differentiate yourself from competitors?
What strategy do I use?
Yes.
Now I have the 5-step strategy for transitioning. Because when those individuals they're looking at, well, what do I need to do? I just can't seem to make it. I bought all these tools. I got these things and I went to all the trainings. Because see, it's anything that's going to work for us on the outside, it has to be working for us on the inside because that's where it comes from. So when I start working with individuals, I have a 5-step strategy that talks about the inner you. You have to deal with why isn't it that you're not making it? And then we find out those areas. And that's where biblical coaching really comes into play because they're finding out there might be fear. I just can't seem to understand this. And we have to understand there are gifts within us. Anything that comes naturally to us, that's a gift, that's an ability. And when we're operating or trying to work outside of that gift and it becomes extremely challenging, it's because you're kind of out of line. You're not in line with what comes naturally to you. See, my natural ability is just speaking, being able to talk to anyone and do what needs to be done, and the ability to just go learn what I need to learn. So you have to understand in business, never be afraid of failing. I'm of the opinion that failing is a strategy for success because now you learn what not to do.
Right.
hmm What not to do. So when I teach, and I teach that strategy, discovering the inner you, what's in you? What's in you? Because now I was wondering if you was gonna ask me about what book am I really into? Because I always had Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And he talks about faith. And that's his thing. When you talk about faith, he says, as a man thinketh, as it comes out of the Bible, so is he. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What is that inner thought that constantly you're there? You're there. I had people that were in business way back in the days in insurance. They say, I cannot work from home. I'm cutting the yard, I'm cooking, I'm doing things. Some people can.
Right.
So knowing the truth about who you are and accepting that truth. Because there were people that I've mentored and I coach, and some wanted to go into nonprofit area. And I literally told them, I say, it's not for you. Because whether it's profit or nonprofit, it's a business. And if you're not wired for business, because business has a weight, and you have to be able to carry that weight of business without spinning around and going, oh my God, what just happened? Oh, well, what just happened? Well, let's see what we need to do to fix that. So when I'm working with that 5-step strategy, is really discovering who you are on the inside. What are some of your challenges? So we can now address them. Because some of us, we kind of be like, well, that's not me. And, we can see it all over him. Yeah, that's you, Joe. But Joe has to discover Joe for himself. So
Exactly.
it's a discovery. It's a
Exactly.
discovery.
That's awesome. Okay, so you study the markets. Tell me, do you see any shifts happening that could change the way solopreneurs work in the future?
Well, I think it's going to be more entrepreneurs, more solopreneurs, because you have to watch the trend of the industry, especially the industry you're in. You have to look at consumer buying habits. You have to look at what are the changes that are taking place. And you have to be true to yourself. I've heard some people say when AI kicked in, oh, that's just going to come and just going to go. And I think, is that going to leave? Because we're in that we're in that season,
Right.
and it's going to be a long season. So I think there are going to be more entrepreneurs, more solopreneurs, because for one, they're not going to have a choice. And they see it and they feel it is happening. I've known people that have been looking for jobs for 7, 8 months. Uh, they get interviews, and because technically the business owners really have a wide choice of who to choose from now. So they can get great skills at a discount. So I think it's going to be more of us entering the entrepreneur marketplace. Absolutely.
Mm,
Hmm.
that's very, very possible. That happened in 2008.
It
Okay.
did. But the sad thing about 2008 for me was a lot of those brokers, because it take a time to get a broker's license. You have to be in the industry. You have to know so many things. And they had all those skill sets, but yet we just could not use them at that time because it's over. Exactly what you said. We had to go into the marketplace because there were no more money to be made until, and the interesting thing about '08, we never been there before. Not the market, the United States. They never been there, and they were like, well, what's going on? Some of the biggest financial minds around, because we'd never been there in the current. Now, I'm not talking about 29, I'm talking about right now in '08. So it was real, and it just, a lot of incomes. And you were in the business, and we saw a lot of things that, I mean, people were so distraught because we were in the business of real estate. We were just not, I go to work on a job and I got 2 houses I rent out. No, we were in the business of real estate. So that exactly what you just said, it happened. All of a sudden, people are letting all their license go because they had to feed their families.
Right.
And they had to
I
do
had
what we do,
agents that were losing their homes.
losing their homes, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I went through the whole 9 yards of it. But in going through, you still got to believe in you. You got to believe in you. And one of the things I assessed was it something I didn't do or something I didn't know? And I discovered it was both. It was both. Because when I was in the investments and insurance, I had securities license. So I began to look at the market and I said, listen, these folk here, they get hit, but they don't fall. Fortune 100, Fortune 500s, they just stayed there. And I began to really look at that market. And then I saw the way that they designed the structure, their strategies. They have totally different strategies and they ain't telling us. So you got to find out, how are they surviving? And they have totally different strategies that they live by, because the survival of the business is top priority. And all of the inner workings of it, the KPIs, everything, those are the folks behind the door. And they're figuring out everything they need to do. And they say, okay, give this to the salespeople, whoever, because this is what we need to do to hit $5 billion next year, $5 million, whatever their goals are. Their goal is to meet their goal. That's it. Nothing else in mind but crossing the finish line. So I learned a lot about that. I learned a lot of what they knew that I didn't know. Because remember, I just tripped into the real estate market.
Right.
So I didn't have the foundation that I really needed. But when you're making the money, you don't think about that. You're like, well,
Right.
isn't it about making money? Well, it's about making a legacy. It's about your children's that you want to make sure that so that's where biblical coaching comes in. I teach along the legacy, the lineage. What do you want to do in your business? We talk about structuring that business from the beginning. See, the principles of the word of God, the principles, they're guarantees that he say you shall. And once you learn those, And that's what Napoleon Hill was all about. As a man thinketh, as you become into those thoughts in knowing that you have some guarantees, but becoming that person who can now acquire those guarantees. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's real and I love it.
Okay, so tell me, do you have a tool or an app that you just can't live without in your business?
Several, several. We're in the age of technology, and AI, artificial intelligence, is designed where it makes running the business more efficient. It communicates with you. Um, I've been a part of ChatGPT from the beginning of ChatGPT, and believe it or not, the systems know you. They recognize you as a man thinketh, and they design based on your thinking because you've been with them. You've been with them. So the tools that I use all of the tools. Um, you can contact anytime, day or night. Chatbot is going to be there to talk to you. It's going to be there to communicate with you. The tools will let you know, listen, you didn't make that goal, and here's the reason. Yeah, so it'll redesign some things. So that's what I like about the tools. My coaching tools, I have a complete coaching platform that I work from. Everything is right there. So I'm sending out letters, contacting folks. And that's what the solopreneur is all about, really having all the tools they need. Yeah,
And it's easy
do
today
I?
to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, what are your daily habits or routines that keep you focused and productive?
Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is meditation. Because when you're grounded, I have meditation. Then there's my prayer time. Then I do declarations. See, the word tells us, decree a thing and it shall comes to pass. So I begin to do my declarations, my decrees. From there are principles that I study. I study principles because you have to know how to activate those principles in your life. So I'm studying those principles. I'm activating in my life every day. That is my daily routine, and it grounds you. At least for me, it does. It will ground you. So now it gives you something to really say. See, there's a scripture in the Bible say, when you pray, whatever you ask for, you can have. Listen, you don't have to pinch me twice. There are rules, there are principles. But I'm going to learn that because there's so much I have to leave that legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is my daily, just my devotion. And then every other kind of day, then I get my exercise going on the way I should, that type of thing. But yeah, basically just getting grounded in the principles and the foundation of the word.
That's good.
Taking that prayer time.
So, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone that's just now starting their solopreneur journey?
One of the things I would say to them, get coaching, get mentoring before you start. Go to someone who's like myself. That's what I'm here for.
That was a
Go to
subtle
someone
sell.
and really find out the reality of what you're getting into. Because I believe from years back when I started, I say entrepreneurs are some of the most faithful people I've ever seen in my life because we believe it. We fall down, roll down, get dirty, and we get back up and say it's just around the next corner. I know I got it now. But we
Yes, we
believe in
do.
ourselves. We believe in ourselves. You could be out there and you're on that second or third year. You haven't hit that income goal, but you say, I'll get it next year. And we are so excited You got to be excited about yourself. You got to believe in you. But most of all, before you enter any industry, any business, take a mentor that they can tell you what's going on in that business, how you build a budget. Do you know how many people do not have budgets? They actually tell me, "Oh, I'm gonna do that later." I said, "How you go to the grocery store and figure out if what? You don't wait till they ring up all the. Oh, well, take half of that off." You know, you have a budget in business. Budget is crucial. A budget is crucial. You have to have a budget before you start. And another thing that I tell individuals, if you can get business funding, because so many people have really that their lives have been turned up down because the dream didn't end up like it was in the dream.
Yeah.
And now you got your children, your husband, your wife, everybody to be on the street because your dream wasn't your dream. So if you and see they don't understand when you do that budget, even when you get business funding, whatever that payment of that funding is, it belongs to the business. So you don't disrupt your household. You don't disrupt your household. So there are some things, these are my own beliefs. And sometimes people have never really thought about it. And they say, wow, I didn't think about that. So, but number one, get you a mentor, a coach, and you got to learn how to believe in yourself. You got to be true about failure. Failure is a part of success. And I think most successful people would tell you how many times they fell, but they kept believing,
Yep. Get back
kept
up and
believing.
do it again. Yep. So,
Absolutely.
Alberta, do you have any exciting projects or launches coming up that you'd like to share?
Well, absolutely. What I really would like to share on my ministry website, Kingdom Dynamic Ministry, we have a big biblical coaching club that I do. Um, and we're able to get together once a month. So for those that really want to get a little understanding, well, how is this biblical coaching go? Join the club. Join the club. The club is $35 a month, and we meet once a month for about an hour or so, and they get an introduction to really what ministry is all about, because some have never really knew other they went to church every day and they sat on the bench, and as soon as they were old enough to get off the bench and couldn't nobody make them go back to the bench, they were kind of done with that. Okay. But when and you it gives them an opportunity to really see what and how business coaching works. We have decrees there on that website. Is just a ton of information, talks about decrees and learning about who you are. So it's just a ton of information that's there. You'll learn about who I am in ministry and what my ministry walk was like to become. And I do teach individuals who want to go into next level ministry. They want to become ministry leaders. So a lot of that information is there. Yeah, so want to get that out, kingdomdynamicministry.org. And check
That's
it
in the
out.
show notes, so you don't have to worry about writing it down, folks. Um, so tell people where they can connect with you and learn more about what you do.
Well, of course, on LinkedIn, you're going to connect with Alberta McKinney, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. All of those on LinkedIn, on Facebook, we have business pages. We have Kingdom Dynamic Ministry business page, Entrepreneurs by Design. That's on Facebook also. So LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn, connect with me, Alberta McKinney. And we do have some freebies. We do have some freebies. I have some ebooks that we give out from time to time. So any of those, of course, that connect with me from this particular podcast, they will get that free ebook. Some of them are ministry focused, some of them are business focused, the biblical business. Others are entrepreneur. If they wanted to know more about real estate investments, we have ebooks on there also. So it's just a plethora of information that they would be able to get.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for joining the podcast today. I truly appreciate it.
Been more of a pleasure for me. Appreciate you so much, Donna. And I want to thank the audience out there for really just listening to what we had to say. And you're always welcome. Entrepreneurs by Design, Minister Alberta McKinney. We design at entrepreneursbydesign.com. We're going to look forward to seeing you there and hearing from you.
Awesome. Okay, listeners, if you haven't left us a review, followed us, subscribed, please do so now. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.